Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. Let me give you a list of the first 7 or 8 things that come to mind when I think about universal American values in popular culture. At least back in 2000, they're supposed to be our values, or American values, still today, and a brief explanation of them. So number 1, the freedom of religion and the right to think one's own thoughts. This includes a freedom from covert harassment, a freedom from mind control, a freedom from rape, which I connect very much to religion. It says Bernie Sanders pointed out today, the religion of the governing class is greed. I think he said of the billionaires that are controlling the system, but it's really the whole governing class. Now we see that there's a sort of secret government going on, so it's also a freedom from secret government because that interferes with your religion. For example, we see in the wordplay feed, feed-y, right? Meal, melee, grub, G-rub, and house, ho-use. What are the odds that we see this playing out and that the wordplay in the words, it's right there in the words, makes it clear that that's the intention of the design of the system by somebody. The language, right? 1776, fighting against the English. Even the word freedom, right? Free-dumb. Point number 2 is the freedom to try to speak to a woman, all right? Make your pitch. A freedom from sexual coercion and harassment I would include with this, because I have a right to kind of approach a female and say, hey, how are you doing? Without the government lying about me or coercing her or saying that she better not talk to me, or without racists telling her she better not talk to me, without LGBT fanatics telling her she better not talk to me, what have you. Because some people want Jesus to seem like something he's not, like a gay person. Now again, I met plenty of gay people who are friendly people, very professional, what have you. But some of these people are coercing society with racist whites, Jews, and certain token minorities, racist Jews, that is. They're coercing people, and people are assisting them out of fear, what have you. And so it's getting in the way of our freedom to have fair romantic relations. Now, freedom, our right to not be canceled. Right? What's this cancel culture? It's unfair, it's unconstitutional, it's illogical, it's evil, it's petty, and it has everything to do with sexual control. They're canceling dating cultures, if you will. It's a kind of cancel dating culture. It's at the center of cancel culture. Their main concern is reproduction. Just like you saw with the right wing when they were saying that too many immigrants were coming and voting left. It has to do with demographics, has to do with reproduction. Point number 3 is the freedom of speech. And that requires fair representation in the government, fair representation from the population. Most people agree with me about a lot of things, but they don't have fair representation in the government because of that secret government that is at play here. The behind-the-scenes stuff. It's also important that people make the distinction between the representation for everyone and the most important form of representation, which is representation for those who are morally superior, with a morally mature argument. Not a specific religious argument, but what is universal morality. Not Eurocentrism confusing you about what universal morality is, but what is universally moral. And everyone knows what it is. Like, for example, when it comes to wealth taxes, someone might argue, well, you're violating that person's rights, when you want that person to pay more taxes, which is absurd. Someone has to set the tax rate based on something. So how could the answer just simply be that? At one point, I think in America, they had 80% taxes for the rich. It was something like that. It was way up there. And they brought it down, right? And Nixon and Reagan were opposed to these things, and they wanted to tax people less, if I remember correctly here. And so the tax rate has changed over time. It's always changing. So how can you simply say that it's immoral and you're violating their freedoms if you want them to pay more taxes? Not to mention The rich have avoided paying taxes in the past. Everyone knows that they've exploited the workforce, and even the majority of Republicans in some polls, I've seen at least one, they say that they think that the rich should pay more taxes. The next point number 4, is the freedom and the right to assemble. And freedom and bravery are needed. So the government is basically saying to people, well, technically they can assemble. But they know that they're going to be targeted and blacklisted and canceled. They're going to be fumed and harassed. And it's going to be government operations and other operations that the government allow for that are almost certainly going to be the main, is going to be the main reason that they're being treated that way. Point number 5, the freedom of expression. Point number 6, the right to a fair trial. And that means the right to a trial that's not tainted by the illegal use of government and law enforcement. A freedom from feudalism. It's not just communism that oppresses people, it's also feudalism, it's oligarchy. Point number 7, the right to vote, and you need a system that is fair so you have something logical to vote for. And point number 8, the right to food and shelter. In a country as wealthy as America, with as many people willing to work, one has a right to food and shelter. Why should people be given food and shelter when they commit a crime, but people who are homeless on the streets aren't given food and shelter? So you're basically rewarding criminals, serial killers, what have you, for being criminals by giving them food and shelter, but you're letting people be homeless and hungry.